Hey everyone, it is really cold here now. Last night was down to -33. Thankfully there's no wind today, but we're just doing our part to try and keep everything as warm as we can. My barley bin here ran out of barley yesterday, of course. I thought I was gonna make it till Wednesday. It's supposed to warm up 2 or 3 days, evidently not. So I got the auger here and I got a grain truck full of grain. We'll see if we can get this filled up. I'll try and get try and do these kind of jobs when it's warmer. It's just really hard on things in this kind of weather, but well, obviously I was 2 days off of my feed inventory where I thought it would be. And you can also see there's 2 stacks on my barn. We had a power surge the other day and it seems to have fried the thermostat on the east side of my barn, because right after that I can't get it to work now, which is just one more thing I needed. Last few years I've been using ground barley, and this year I'm feeding whole barley, strictly because it's too much of a pain for me to grind with the way I was set up. I was using this bin to hold whole barley and then the little bin to grind into. It just takes too much time, it was just too expensive. If I had a stationary roller set up, I'd rather have a roller than a hammer mill, at least for feeding ewes. You don't need to grind grain, but in the TMR, from what we found with starch sampling in the manure, the digestibility of rolled grain at certain volumes within the TMR seems to be better, and it's a little bit more economical that way. This year it doesn't matter as much, grain's a little bit cheaper than it has been in the past, but these cycles go whether I'm feeding higher forage content or higher grain content. Just kind of depends what the market is that year.
I gave cows a try, but it was kind of a curse. All it ended up doing was drinking my purse. And suddenly it occurred to me, I'm needing sheep. It's the only thing for me. Soft and white and dumb and chill. Bad, they're so easy to kill.
Okay, I finished hauling grain and then I did feed before it got too dark. And my feed mixer here, the battery died on it halfway through feeding, which is always nice. But anyway, I'm just headed to the barn for the last time for the night. We'll see what we're gonna find there. It's still really cold out here. I think I read -32 again tonight. I'll take the cold as long as there's no wind. We can handle no wind. And I'm looking at my barn. Looks like the east furnace started working again. I guess it took a couple days off. We had a few lambs today. These guys were born. They look pretty good. Some of these sheep, they rip the Allflex tags out of their ear, and then I don't know who they are. But with the RFID and data logging everything, we can easily narrow down who belongs to who. This one here, this is Goat. Goat's my meanest, rankest, gnarliest, nastiest sheep that I own. Isn't that right, Goat? It's the only sheep that tried to take me out this year. We try not to keep sheep like that around, and she's just absolutely miserable to deal with. She hates everything, hates other sheep, hates me. But like anyone who raises livestock knows, she makes the absolute nicest lambs. They're the best growing, strongest. She has the best mothering instincts. She had 3 nice, big, evenly sized triplets, and she's got enough milk probably to raise them herself. So I think I might even let her try to raise all 3. Goat, you're nasty and mean, and I don't really like you, but I'm gonna keep her around. 1 more year. That's what you say every year. Well, I spoke too soon. Just seeing one of these triplets that Goat has. Just can't quite seem to find the nipple. So he was born this morning. We're well within the 24 hours. Colostrum's important. Probably gonna supplement it. She's got lots of milk, and the other 2 lambs are fine. So I think I'll just pull that one guy. I'm always nervous trying to get them to raise triplets on their own. Just never really have had luck with it. She's about the only one I would try it with. I know some people that have better genetics than I do have good luck with it, but I just haven't been able to be there yet. And last night we had a ewe that something went wrong with labor. She delivered 2 dead lambs, and the second one was a really hard pull by me. Don't know exactly what went wrong, but she just is not looking real happy today. Kind of feel bad for her. It was a pretty bad situation. But again, these kind of things happen, so I'm just going to give her a shot of an anti-inflammatory to hopefully help her feel a little bit better today. Another set of twins. Hey, there's 3. What? There was only 2 earlier. Look at you go. Well, that's a nice surprise. They are so tiny. My goodness. That's the problem with these Ritos sometimes. Like, you get the ones on the other side, like Goat, she had 3 nice big lambs. These guys are little. Look at this guy. Come here. I know I'm interrupting your nap. He's like wee. I don't know, he's probably, yeah, I think he's about 5 pounds, I'd say. I've been starting to record birth weights. I know, record birth weights a little bit more. There's quite a discrepancy. We go anywhere from 5 pounds on these little guys up to, like, I think I've had a couple 12 to 14 pounders. You get the 10 to 12 pounds, like these guys are about a week old, and they got some meat to them. Like, they do grow fast, and then I can send them outside. They can brave the cold. Things outside when it's minus 33 are pretty cold, don't get me wrong, but if you can keep them out of the wind, that's why we build those big shelters, then they can handle that a lot better. But I was trying to get away from colostrum feeding tonight, but I'm gonna have to go to the house, mix some up, because I gotta feed those 3, and then I think that one of Goats is gonna need something. Okay, a couple videos ago, you guys remember I talked about Willie. Willie was this lamb who his mother just kind of abandoned him. Then she later on abandoned her other lamb, so she's been sent to Candyland. But anyway, we saved Willie. He was really cold, and we put him in the sink and we warmed him up. But here's Willie. By the looks of things, Willie's got a girlfriend. Kind of an interracial love story, I guess. Willie's growing faster than anyone else in here, which is pretty good considering he's younger than almost everyone in here. So Willie's mother, obviously, you don't want to keep sheep like that around. I took a load to Candyland last week. Anything with a bad udder, a bad cough, or a bad attitude, they get sent to Candyland. Anyway, I'm gonna get some colostrum feeding here. I gotta wear this mask. The ammonia and the dust and everything in here. Just last year I had too many respiratory problems myself. So there's a particle filter on top of an ammonia filter in this mask. Makes a huge difference. Just take care of your health, guys. It's pretty important. So I bed everything with small square bales. This is all barley straw. I find them just easier to handle, and then I can throw one flake at a time from the central alley into the jugs. I don't even really need to shake them around. I find the sheep spread them around pretty nicely. Don't always make it into the pen. And then of course the camera falls off and you want to get to that before your sheep eat it. This is the tablet I'm using to replace the paper lambing book. I record the number of the ewe, the date they were born, what their painted number will be, the status of their milk, and how many lambs they had. And then if they get colostrum or not, make sure you set that somewhere a sheep won't eat it. And I'm always checking milk forever checking milk. When everything lambs, just make sure you check the milk. That'll just save you so many issues later on. Missy wasn't really interested in letting me do it, so I had to crawl on the pen with her. She's being a little bit difficult by the looks of things here, so I repositioned, and then I find if I back them up into the corner, it's kind of just the easiest way. You don't want them running around the pen. They can disturb their lambs or step on them pretty easily. She didn't have great milk, but she did have enough that I would consider good. I kind of have a ranking system. They're either very good, good, or poor one side. And if they're good, we'll leave them, maybe check them again next year to make sure. If they're poor at all, they're gone. I'm not dealing with sheep without milk. Still very cold, still questioning why I live here, and especially why I raise livestock. But anyway, the pens that I have here is surrounded by a 6.5 foot tall page wire, and these two dogs just run freely in here. I have seen coyotes climb over this fence before, so I just keep these guys in here. But when I open all the gates to feed, I don't want them running out and terrorizing the neighborhood. So I just got to chain them up, but this is a good time to run through and just check some sheep. Hey! This one's udder is very lopsided. What's your number? Oh, she's had mastitis in the past. Again, folks, cull your sheep, then you don't have to deal with stuff like that. This one's got a bad lump jaw. She was a hard pull on her lambs. I pulled them. They all three survived, and then her lump jaw disappeared. Now it's back with a vengeance. Frank would like his supper here, so we'll tie them up. Okay, for the most part everything looks okay. One other important thing to do every day, I don't run a creep feed area in my sheds anymore. They're just relying on these feeders. And I also thought at the end of this video I might take some time and answer some questions that I've been sent by some of you guys. So I think I'll do that, and I'll explain why I don't run a creep feeder in my shed. But for now, oh, another thing, you gotta always make sure when it's this cold you're checking your waters. I did check them once already today. There's water in that, that's good. The other water is good too, so it's always nice when it gets really cold and the water freezes and it just goes downhill quickly. But these creep feeders I have, this is a gap here that's adjustable so the lambs can reach in here, but these can't. These guys, this ground barley in here, it's already freezing solid to the feeder because the lambs lick it. They got too much moisture, and then it creates this giant barley sickle. That's just lovely. Oh, everything's easier when it's warm. Last year when I was filming, it was like 0 degrees. Looking at the 14-day trend, it's gonna be a deep freeze for a little bit yet, but I'm gonna feed. I gotta run to Bible study. I'll be back to answer questions here shortly. So it's really loud inside my barn right now because they just got fed and they're all disturbed. But I wanted to answer a few questions. A couple people have sent me some emails and I thought, well, these are good questions, might as well answer them from everyone. So there's not very much entertainment value at this point, but there might be some good information here. What do I use for square foot per ewe in the outdoor shelters? So these outdoor shelters, I assume, they're 18 by 45. I count on 10 to 11 square feet per ewe. Like I said before, that's per ewe with lambs. I said before, I used to set up a creep area in there where I would make a creep panel and a little pen for the lambs to run in and out of with a trough for feed. I don't do that anymore because I found if you give them any place that they can hide or cuddle, rather than just staying in the shed, which is out of the wind to begin with, they will dogpile. The ones on the bottom are warm, but they're also dead. So I took that out because the lambs would all want to jam in there, and without that space in there, the whole shed is open. It forces them to snuggle up with their mothers, and I think it keeps them much warmer. It's a much better system. I'd like to have a creep trough in there, but these creep feeders do work pretty good once they get a little bit older. But to answer the base question, I count on 10 to 11 square feet per ewe with lambs. That's pretty tight, but so far it seems to work okay. You don't want to overcrowd them for sure, but with the two in this pen, works out to 150, 170-ish, depending on how things are going. Question 2, why Rideau Arcot for a breed compared to Suffolk, Dorset, or Ile-de-France? That's a good question, I guess. When I got into sheep, it was 2018, and it was just when the North American Lamb Company started. And I was actually at the meeting when they first announced that they were going to take the world over with sheep. And for those of you who don't know, NALCO, North American Lamb Company, was a big cooperative that they were going to raise sheep right to finishing. They own the processing plant here in Alberta, and that they were going to just go big, and that was the plan. And they had good merits, don't get me wrong. But they wanted to centralize the product we were producing as sheep producers, and a big part of that was Rideau sheep. The people that I was sourcing stock from, the first guy that helped me out, and then a few people after that, they were in Rideau. So I didn't want a hodgepodge of breeds. I liked the Rideau for the multiple lambs. I had no idea how challenging they were going to be in other aspects, but I'm in it a few years. I believe in the breed. I also believe that there are some absolutely garbage Rideaus out there. When that NALCO thing decided to start, they went from like, I don't know, a very few number of sheep. I think they dispersed 35,000 when they went broke. If you grow Rideau at any scale, you're gonna have some bad ones in there for sure, and I think that's what happened. And so a lot of flocks, myself included, there's just some real bottom end genetics in the Rideau side of things, but there are also some people out there that have absolutely top level Rideaus, and you can get there, you just have to know what you're looking for. I believe in them for being a smaller animal, similar to a Red Angus cow. They don't eat quite as much. I like that, and they're much easier for me to handle. I'm not a big guy. I'm like 5'8", and I can manhandle these if I need to. Whereas a Suffolk, I'm not really interested in doing that. Suffolks eat more. Suffolks are a much hardier animal. Rideaus are more, I compare more to a Holstein than like a Charolais. So they need some care. That's why they got to be inside. If I was out on the range, I definitely wouldn't have Rideau. And I'm really pushing it with a minimum size barn to kick them outside as early as I do, because the lambs are quite small. But I don't plan on changing away from the maternal side. I could see one day maybe introducing a little bit more terminal trait, but right now I'm just interested in getting the Rideaus that I have fine-tuned a bit to put out a strong lambing percentage year to year, weaning a good amount of healthy weighted lambs, and keeping our mortality numbers low. Question 3, vaccination cycle per year. Everything gets a clostridial shot. 6 weeks pre-lambing, a booster at 4 weeks. I am using Glandvac as well. And then the lambs, I haven't been vaccinating my lambs. I should be, and we have a new trinket coming that should help us with that. I don't really have a great facility for gathering and vaccinating lambs at 6 weeks of age, but they should really be getting a clostridial at that age. The vet was out here, like I said, last week. We were discussing that actually, and she was like, you haven't been vaccinating? I'm like, no, I'm waiting for it to bite me. But I think this year we're gonna have to do it. Age and weight when shipped, try and hit 120 pounds in 5 months. Rideaus don't grow as fast as some of the terminals, but I'm aiming for a 125 pound lamb, and I'm aiming for it as fast as possible, and I try to get that to be around 5.5 months. Question 4, is it worth weaning or just ship right off the ewe? Absolutely, it's worth weaning. Definitely. Wouldn't even question that. I think the money is made in finishing the lambs, especially in sheep. You can't background them like cattle. Question 5, we like winter lambing, but we fight coccidia. What can we do to fight this or avoid? I sprinkle a decox in the feeders. I'm kind of confused by that because you say winter lambing, but fight coccidia. I find when things are frozen, like it's as cold as it is right now, the bugs and coccidiosis and everything else, every form of scours or whatever disease they can get, when it's cold, they're not susceptible to that stuff because the ground is frozen. They can't lick the dirt as easily because it's all frozen. So the way I kind of play it is you lamb them, and if you can get them as big as you can, as fast as you can before the mud hits. I assume this guy's in Ontario. Maybe it's not as frozen as it is here out west, but that's kind of, there's a relative curve to the bigger you can get them, the longer that it's frozen, the healthier they'll be when the mud season hits. So that's a good start for some questions. I have quite a few more to answer when I get to it, but I'm going to call it good for tonight. I got to go finish some things in the barn and try to get to my Bible study. So I thank you guys very much for watching. We'll catch you next time.